Hello, everybody. It is Monday, July 21st. This is Keith,
And this is Mav.
and we are found yet again. Hope everybody's weekend was good. Mav, how was yours?
My weekend was pretty good. Uh, got to some building, got some stepping on some Lego. It was fun filled,
Yes. How's your feet feel?
A little sore, but you know, I think when I was putting on my socks this morning, I was taking some little bits of Lego still, but
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Well, yeah, you'll find those little tiles and such stuck in between the toes, but
cheese slopes.
well, what fun would it be without that? Well, so if anybody's curious what we're talking about, you guys probably have heard, or if you haven't, this is going to be your little review of what's going on. So Mav and I are part of a charity event. We are collaborating with NACOA, which is the National Association for Children of Addiction. We are in the Brick by Brick Build for Hope charity event, or excuse me, Building Hope charity event right now. It kicked off yesterday. That was Sunday the 20th. And we kicked off with the Stomp Out Addiction Challenge, which is a Lego walk. I'm going to pull up here real quick. So, this is the website. Um, you can go to nacoa.org. That's nacoa.org. As soon as you go to that website, you'll get a pop up that takes you actually directly to this page. So it is the event page. Here on the page, you will see all of the events that are currently going on. So, as I mentioned, we have the Stomp Out Addiction Challenge going on right now. And then we also have the Build for Hope Challenge. You can check both of those out. Right now, we are actually, if I can remember how to pull the right page up here, we had a massive donation day today. So excited right now. We are up to, are you guys ready? We are up to $37,517 as of about half an hour ago. So I did not refresh this, but that's where we're at. So really excited. I was told there might be an NFL player that is sending in a video today or tomorrow morning. So I will keep everybody posted on that because I'm not sure who it is. So I'm excited to find out who that is and see what kind of impact that makes. Because it is training camp for some of these NFL teams. So hopefully some of them in training camp can kind of knock this out of the park together. And hopefully we can see that number going sky high. At the end of the day, though, Mav and I just want to thank everybody for being part of this and just sharing and doing the Lego walks. If you're not able to make any sort of donation, please do not feel bad for that. Um, do what you can. And if you can't, all we ask for is your time. So this weekend, Mav, what are we doing this weekend?
What are we not doing this weekend? Sleeping. 48-hour challenge starts Friday at 7 p.m. and runs through Sunday, 7 p.m.
Yep.
And we will be here live through that event, building, talking, chatting, having guests turning in and out
Yep.
between different times. So, yeah, definitely going to be a fun and eventful time for a good cause.
For sure. Yep.
So,
I know we talked about it on Friday, or no, maybe it was Saturday, Friday and or Saturday. If anybody is interested in hopping on with us, as of right now, there's no really set schedule. We're waiting to hear some from NACOA as far as sort of guests that they are going to have for us to bring on. So if you have some time over the weekend, let us know. Send us a message either individually or through the Hidden Bricks page. Let us know when you'd like to hop on. We are screened up for 10 people, but probably going to try to keep it around 6 to 8 at a time. So we're not the screen's just not populated too much with things going on, just to try to keep things a little bit less chaotic. But give us some times that you might be free to stop in. You can just stop in for a minute, an hour, 24 hours, whatever you guys want to do. Let us know. We'd love to have you guys. So obviously, again, with that, there is no after hours on Friday. So after hours is essentially built into the charity event. So we'll build that into there. But yeah, so 7 p.m. Eastern kicks that off this coming Friday. So stay tuned for that. Mav, what else do we have before we get our guest on here? Do we have anything else?
No, actually, I think that is it for the announcements for this week. Stay tuned. End of the podcast, we'll probably be finding out the winner of our build challenge.
Yes, that was exciting. We had a couple last minute submissions, some that were done literally overnight, and no matter how much time they had, they were all impressive. And that community build challenge was actually sparked by somebody that is going out of his way to spend some time with us tonight. He is very familiar with this community building well, I shouldn't say community, but individual building aspect. And then having the unfortunate position of narrowing down a wide variety of sets to be submissions to become sets. So he's familiar with the whole process. So without further ado, we'll get him on here because we don't want to keep him waiting too long. So if any of you were at Brick World, you probably can put a face to a name now. I didn't ask him how to pronounce his last name correctly, so I'm not going to say it. I'm going to let him do that for us here. Let me bring in Alex from Bricklink. Alex, is it Kastelic?
Yep, you nailed it.
I should have just said it. Alex, how are you? Thanks for joining us tonight. How are you doing today?
Thanks for having me. It's another great day. So no, we'll finish it off with a great podcast.
Appreciate the compliment. So
thank you.
So your experience or your weekend here, what's the weekend plans for you? Like what do you usually do on a weekend?
I have 2 young children, so there are not a lot of room to go out and do a whole lot. So they're both just over 2.5 and 1. So this weekend, so for example, this weekend we kind of did a pool party at our house on Saturday, had some college friends over and was able to see them. So that was great. And then, yeah, just kind of random things throughout the weekend, but we're in the midst of teaching our 2.5-year-old how to swim. So a lot of fun little family things going on right now. That's our life right now.
So is your teaching to swim, because I just saw a video and that's why I'm just curious here. The idea of teaching to swim is your idea where you just throw them in the pool and they and they tread until they figure it out.
No, it's not. It's frowned upon now.
That's
We laugh about all the things that like our parents did, and we're like, yeah, you'd be in jail now for that.
Yeah. That's fair.
We're a little softer with parenting now. Whether that's better or worse, I don't know. Who knows? My children haven't turned out yet, and I haven't. I think I turned out pretty well. So
yeah. Well, I think we're on that same generation where it's funny how the times have changed, but and the things that we were molded by are frowned upon, but yet we all turned out okay. So,
yep.
I mean, there's probably some people in the comments here I couldn't agree with.
Every generation has that, though, right?
That's true. Yeah. That's
I'm
true.
sure there's going to be some things that our kids are going to look back and be like, I can't believe you did that.
I mean, the stories my dad says with like the wooden spoons and the leather belts and all that. I mean, if you even mention that nowadays, man, those cops will be at your house fast and white on rice. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, I think about just the amount we used to drive around the story, the one that I always remember vividly was I grew up in Michigan, and so we would drive to Florida for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and spring break to go see my grandparents.
Okay.
And we would drive the entire way, and my sister and I would be in the back of an Astro van, on a futon mattress, no seats, no seat belts. Like,
That was safe.
it's like you'd never do that. It was
That's
like, well,
fair.
we did that once. We did that a lot.
Well,
Well,
I yeah, I mean, I
live and
think
learn,
that
I guess.
yeah, that was a common thing
Right?
back
Oh,
then.
it's very common. The
Yeah.
amount of people that I tell that story to, and like, we did the same thing.
Yep. Or the
Well, I guess
station
everyone was
wagon.
doing that. Yeah.
The
Yep.
station wagon. Look,
With
man.
reverse seats, no belt. You were just facing out the rear window.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
So Brick World. Mav and I
Yes.
were there.
Mm-hmm.
Mav, what was your experience? I want to hear the Bricklink experience for you, because we have some things to play off with Alex on this.
Oh, are you asking me about the Bricklink?
Yeah, I want to hear your experience, and then I want to see how you. I just want to see like your experience from your eyes, and then Alex's from his eyes.
Well, normally I'm used to seeing the Bricklink announcements online, so being there in person, it was a experience, to say the least. I very much enjoyed it. The atmosphere,
Yeah.
the anticipation, um, some of the drama, right? Because you had some technical difficulties, but
Yep.
it overall was like a very good experience. It was very engaging with the community, with the fans of the Bricklink series. I liked it. There was stuff getting thrown out to the audience. I think one hit off of the corner of my eye, and I think actually not Greg, Shy was actually whipping him
Yeah.
right out
I was
there.
gonna say there were
Right?
a couple that went pretty deep. Those
Yeah.
pairs were pretty
He made sure the
aerodynamic.
people in the back got something. Yes, that was good.
But I
I
saw that
thoroughly enjoyed
I
it.
think it was Greg. I think it was Greg, like, ran down the aisle and was handing some to the people in the back that, that maybe were a little, that weren't able to get up and get out towards the front too. So it was great. No, Greg and Shy and John did a phenomenal job making that event what it was. And that's what we love about what we can do with Bricklink, is that we want everything to be a little bit more community focused and partnered with the community when we're doing these things. Because, as you see, I think it had a little bit extra. I don't know. It had a little bit more flair to it, just because it was fan hosted, in that
Yep.
sense. Who knows the fans more than the fans themselves? So,
Oh, that's
right.
Yeah, it was.
yeah. Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It was a very very cool experience to be a part of. So
Yep. So
thank you
It's
for
good to
that.
hear. Thank you.
yeah, so from your eyes and your perspective, like what did you expect the experience to be? Like, did you have any expectations? And then the outcome, was it what you expected, more or less?
It was, let's say, it was a little bit of everything.
Okay.
It was the expectations. I don't want to say the expectations were low going into it. It was just we were ready for something to go wrong, just because the first time you do anything, something's going to
Hmm.
happen, right?
Yeah.
And then you involve technology and the live show aspect of it, and the first time doing it, it's, who knows what's going to happen. We were very fortunate that the two live streams that we've done so far, or that we did for, what was it, we did series 6, and then we started with series 6, we did it with series 7. Those went really, really well without any major hiccups or anything like that. I think we advanced a slide too fast once or something like that. I was like,
Sure.
okay, that's not an issue. um and then this time around, we're like, all right, well, we are a little bit more comfortable, and we thought, well, it would be really cool if we did this live and in person. We don't know how it's going to show up for people that are online. It's obviously, like, we wanted people to be able to see the crowd and see how passionate and excited people were there. But then also, we couldn't do the live Q&A like we normally do, in the sense of with the fan designers. And I
Hmm.
think that's probably something, that's a learning for us moving forward. But, um, normally we normally do Q&A with the fan designers and bring them out if they're available. They're all over the world, so time zones can be chaos. But we thought this is just going to be way too complex to try to get the delays and things synced up properly to do a live stream with somebody that's halfway around the world.
Yeah.
And then figuring out, okay, well, what do you display? Do you display the YouTube out feed, or do you that's going to be a delay, or do you put it up online, or do you put it up off your computer screen? And there are all those kind of things we were playing around with and seeing what worked and what didn't work. Technologically, everything went really well, and then there was a gremlin somewhere, and even the AV people were like, we've been doing this all day and haven't had any issues. We tested it before, there was no problem. And like, to their, they were doing everything they could on it. Sometimes gremlins pop up, and we kind of have to make do with it. And that's where I think John and Shai and Greg just did such a good job buying time for us to kind of resolve some things. And I think because of that, people didn't realize that there were some things going wrong for us,
Yeah,
and we
sure.
kind of had to blow everything up in a sense. We had videos, we had pre-recorded videos from the fan designers, and the audio for those wasn't really working.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't playing through the speakers that it should have, although other things were playing through the computer and through the speakers, which was very strange. So we're like, we don't know what's going on here. So we're like, okay, we'll just kind of punt that. And then, yeah. But at the end of the day, I think it went really well. Obviously, there's some learnings, but then we ended up having time for more kind of general Q&A at the end, which I think was also pretty well received. And then people were able to see the models live, which is also really cool too, because one of the things that doesn't, when you're seeing the photos online, scale is something that's
Sure.
very hard to see with some of these models, because obviously we're averaging around 2,500 parts. So that's a good size model for a core system set. And that's kind of the middle of what we do. So when you pull out a 4,000 part set, like Dustmark is a pretty big model for the castle, but it also has a lot of smaller elements in it. And then you look at something like University of Science, and it's a meter long.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's big. Yeah, it's a big
So
one.
when you put it up on stage and people are looking at it, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
wow, okay, yeah.
That's the exact same reaction Keith had on the side of me.
Yeah. And the hot air balloon too. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So what
Oh,
was
but it's a
your,
work of art.
yeah, I mean, so what, like, how does that make, because obviously I'm not in this position, but like, how does that make you feel to be in that position where you can actually see people react in real time to sets being revealed rather than just like on the website or pictures or stuff like that? Like, how does that differ?
I think it's much more honest, if that makes sense. You In person, you're hearing the true reaction rather than the comment section.
Mhm.
And you know how comment sections are. The promoters are not as loud as the detractors, and so sometimes if you can get a little, you can get the feedback that's really not quite a true representation. And it's really interesting, because or at least you kind of have a really idea of what the reaction is going to be, because ultimately these models are the highest voted for each kind of theme per se for each of these series. So they're very well regarded. And then if you say blah, 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 it's like, well, okay, well, that might be a fan of a different theme, or
Yeah.
they're never going to be really pleased by whatever is chosen if all 5 sets aren't castle. So it's like we're gonna see a different range of emotions. So it was really, really, really good. I mean, we were very confident that this series was going to be one of those that it's just universally loved across all 5 models.
Yeah.
But even that being said, we're just seeing the series get stronger and stronger,
Oh yeah.
since as we keep going, because more people are aware of it. And then also I think everyone's just becoming better designers.
Yeah.
The community is all learning from each other. We love that a lot of people are starting to collaborate or ask questions to fan designers who've been selected as finalists. And the fan designers that have been selected as finalists are really happy to like provide feedback and talk about their experience, and maybe coach up some of the other designers. So it's overall it's win-win-win for everyone, and that it's the community's getting stronger, which is
Yeah.
awesome to see.
Yep. All right. So one more Brick World question here before we move on. I'm just curious your outlook on this. So Mav and I experienced the ability to get a couple of the, I guess we'll call them exclusive things that were given away at Brickworld.
Yeah.
Um, of those, a couple are being given away as prizes tonight. But there is one prize that seems to be very sought after, and it's going for a very high amount on the third party market, and that would be the little parrot build
Okay. Yeah.
that was being flung around the room. Um, so
This one's got a dent corner, so it's not as
yeah.
valuable.
Yeah.
So obviously being able to do that kind of stuff for the community to give out stuff like that, it's incredible. It's amazing. Kudos to you guys for doing that. But in the same breath, it for those that weren't able to get them, it's very frustrating for people to see like the resell market on something that was supposed to be a nice display piece reminder of
Mhm.
this event. Does that bother you guys at all? And I like as a person, like I'm sure it does, but from a business standpoint, is that something that is frustrating?
I don't know from a business standpoint if it's frustrating because at the end of the day, it's not a business model per se. It's not like we're
Mhm.
trying to drive revenue off of it. It's more of a uh kind of like a handshake for thanks for coming out to an event. Here's something exclusive for coming to this event. A lot of fans, and I think what's really driven that with us, or at least with the giveaways that we've been doing for Bricklink, is that so many fans are putting so much time and effort into creating signature minifigures. They're creating their own printed bricks, and everyone's trading these things. And so, if we don't, my kind of philosophy is if we don't show up with those things, then and someone hands us something that they put their time into, we should have something to reciprocate, right? that's
Sure.
that's kind of how the community is this ecosystem that exists within the community. So to me it's like, no, that's us participating with the community. And
Mhm.
then obviously, because we are Bricklink, we are the Lego group, there's that little bit extra special with it. And so then
Mm.
therefore it does end up on the aftermarket per se, for those that me aren't cherishing that piece that they got from an event or whatnot. But to me, that's a small price to pay for the overall experience and the joy that I think that we and just kind of the warm reception that we see from the iHeart Bricklinks that we've done in the past to the Bricklink 25 bricks that we've done this year, the parrots that we've passed out. It's just if we have the ability to do these kind of cool one-off things, wouldn't that be fun? And it seems
Oh
like
yeah.
it was very well received. So I
Yeah.
mean, I get that not
Yep.
everyone can make it to a convention, but that's where we're trying to at least make it even a little bit more special uh, for conventions. And then
Sure.
too, it's like from a partnership standpoint with the conventions too, is that like hopefully that is. I hope that's not the entire reason that people are coming to conventions, but it's just like one more thing to add to the list of this is why you should come to conventions. And then if you're coming to conventions, then what you stay for in the long run is the friendships and the things that you build there, because the social aspect uh, of of the conventions is so valuable, and it's so much fun. And it's like every time we get to go to Brickworld, it's like, yes, I love going to Brickworld every year. Anyone that gets to come, that whether they're a pre-existing AFOL within Bricklink, or they're Brink is a career for someone, they get so much energy and coming to events like that and seeing, talking to people directly. So yeah, it's whether you're on the business side or in the fan side, it's highly, highly, highly recommended. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Oh yeah. We felt that after
Yes.
effects when we left. Whew. It was painful.
Right, right. I know, but sometimes my social battery's a little low, and I'm like, all right, I need a couple days to recuperate, but this is so much fun, and can we do it next weekend?
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's how Mav and I were. We were like little kids in a candy store. So
Yeah, always a good time.
for sure.
Well, Alex, before we start into more Bricklink and Lego talk, we'd like to give everyone the opportunity to hear and get to know you and your journey. So start off where you are from.
So I grew up in rural Michigan, southern Michigan, small town called Brooklyn, um, and
Okay.
spent uh, all of, I guess, all of my young life there. It was a lovely little place. I always joke, we have two stoplights and a NASCAR track. Um, but yeah, went off to school, went to Michigan State, studied packaging, and so that was kind of what kicked off my career. And then for the first 12-ish years of my life, it was working in and around the McDonald's system. So
Hmm.
I designed packaging for them for quite a long time, and then worked in operations and supply chain for some time too. So I've got to do a lot of really cool things with that, and it just so happened to be that it was a similar nature business to what the Lego Group does, in a sense of, a lot of people think of McDonald's as a fast food company, and it's, yes, it is that they are a food company, but really what they specialize in is operations and supply chain. And that is what the Lego Group is, right? Because once
Yeah.
you get to any scale, those are the two things that you
Mhm.
either have to be really good at them or you don't get to that scale. And so, as I was, I came out of my dark ages in 2019? It was the 20th anniversary, Slave One, that brought me back. I remember my grandma sent me a check and for Christmas, and I was like, all right, I'm going to do something fun with this one. It was, it gets deposited, goes into your account, and then you never do anything. And I was like, you know what, I'm actually
Ugh.
going to do something fun with this. And so I saw it, and I think it was on sale or something like that. I was like, you know what, I haven't built a Lego set since, this was like 2000, I want to say. It was my last few sets were the first wave of Star Wars sets, and so that kind of brought me back in, and I bought one, and then next thing you know, 4 months later, I'm building the giant UCS Nebulon B frigate mock off. I think it was Mortis V. I think did that,
Okay.
and I'm you know, ankle deep in Bricklink, going, what's going on? Why are these 6.6L bars so expensive? And then you realize, oh, wait a minute, you can buy 6L bars and they're basically the same thing.
Okay. Fair.
So you fall deep, you fall fast, and the rest is kind of history, in the sense that I started designing my own mocks, and then selling instructions on Rebrickable. And I was doing Star Wars things, and then was partnering, and then I was participating with my local lug, the Orange County Lug, or OC Lug, and OC Lug and Lugla do a lot of events together, and we were doing an event for the local children's hospital,
Hmm.
up in LA. It's called CHLA, and they had just redone an entire floor of the hospital, and we partnered with them to make a scale model of the whole floor,
Oh,
and the
wow.
lobbies, the waiting rooms, the rooms that the children stay in overnight, the computer rooms, everything. And so, the lug itself came together and created a digital model for the whole thing. And then we partnered with the Lego Group to get all the elements that went for it, and then made, so me and some other people created actual instructions.
Okay.
And then we were able to go there and build it. And this was kind of in the middle of COVID too, so it was a little bit
Oh, okay.
challenging to pull off. But we were able to then, make some sets up and give them to the children that were staying there, so they could
Oh,
actually
nice.
make the room that they were in, and then
Oh, cool.
add it to the model.
Okay.
Nice.
So we did that, and then so now it's on display in a big kind of display. It's like a coffee table type thing with a glass top on it, but
Yeah.
it's 6-7 feet long, in a
Oh,
sense,
wow.
but
That's
it's
cool.
all populated with, there's a room with, like, all the checkup rooms all have different things going on. So
Okay.
you've got, like, the what are they, pigs from Angry Birds, and you've got,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
they're going to see the doctor, and you've
Oh,
got
that's funny.
Mando and Grogu there, and you've got, there's little different scenes, that elevators falling down and Superman's holding it up. So we had a lot of
Oh, that's
fun
cool.
playing around and making, like, all these little vignettes, and so then when the children are there, they can they can have fun looking through all the Easter eggs that are within that. And then that caught the attention of some people within the Lego group, and so they brought us into the Bricklink office at Irvine, and it just so happened to be serendipitous that they were looking for some individuals for this new initiative for BDP, and they were staffing up. So, I thought, well, I was going to be, a career person around the McDonald's system, and then overnight it was, well, have my first child's going to be born next week, but when I'm off on paternity leave, let's have some conversations. And next thing you know, I'm working for the Lego group. So it's a little serendipitous, but it's been about 2.5, 3 years now, coming up in December. So
Okay.
it's been it's been a wild ride, but it's been a lot of fun.
So just out of curiosity, do you have pictures of that hospital?
I'm sure I do. Yeah,
Okay.
probably.
If you have them and want to share, we'd love to post them so people can see
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
you're
we can do
talking
that.
about. So yeah, if you can send them over, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So let's backtrack a little bit to younger Alex here, because the things you're telling me, like, it all kind of falls in line, like McDonald's, the Bricklink, the Lego here, what you're doing all kind of falls in line. So what did you do, or what were your interests and hobbies when you were younger that kind of molded you to be who you were with McDonald's and now with the Lego group?
I think it was well, I always say that Lego bricks as a whole were very instrumental in my development growing up, just because I always liked building things. And so whether if it was, hammer and nails type of just banging 2x4s together and making forts in the backyard, or you know digging around outside and doing all kinds of things like that, I always liked making things.
Mhm.
So I never knew. I always assumed that my career would be making things in of some way, whether that was, making homes, designing, packaging, like I ended up doing, or I went to college thinking I was going to do biomedical, engineering, and quickly learned that I was not as smart as I thought I was. But packaging was a good way to kind of meet the needs of what I wanted to do from an engineering perspective. So um yeah, it's really that's where it came out of. I
Okay.
did all kinds of things. I've played hockey, the entire time growing up, obviously being from Michigan, still play hockey every week.
Sure.
Those were the things that I really love doing. I grew up on a lake, so
Okay.
we were
Nice.
always doing kind of whatever nonsense we were doing in the summer. So, we'd be on the water all day, every day, and then at night, come in, build, and then play games and stuff with as we got older. But
Okay. Now, I'm going to do something Mav and I are famous for here, going on tangents here, because you said something, and
that's the
and
best.
and my mind, my wheel started spinning here. So you mentioned packaging. This
Yes.
is actually a conversation Mav and I have had on some of our lives about the, I guess we'll say that the changes as far as the boxing, the packaging art goes on Lego sets. So can you, and just go where you're comfortable going here, because obviously
Mhm.
I don't want to cause any controversy or anything like that. But so the boxes in the packaging, they always used to be so like bright and fun, and displaying scenes of set images and that kind of stuff. And now it seems like the boxes tend to be like not as dramatic, especially for like the 18 plus lines. And not attacking you guys either, but like your
Yeah.
boxes, they're simple. Like they don't have like the play features, like, you know what I'm saying, like how the old
Yep.
boxes used to be. So in your mind, like, what was there a reason for a shift in the promotional aspect of packaging?
I have no idea. And the reason why is because that is a question for marketing, not a question for
Okay.
packaging.
Okay. All right. See, I didn't know how
Because
that worked. That's
packaging
what's
and
curious. Okay.
yeah, so packaging is the actual manufacturing side of things
Oh,
in
I
a
see.
sense.
Okay. Okay.
So you're thinking about like the graphics on the outside of it's marketing and the design teams are working together to come up with what that is going to look like, and there's a lot of research and things that go into that. Now, from the Lego group side of things, we've been doing white boxes the entire time, so I'm like
Mhm.
probably the worst person to talk to about what box art graphics look like because ours are literally a white canvas.
Yeah.
um, and we don't do any of the fun things that they can do where they're doing
Sure.
renders and whatnot. Ours are straight old school photos on
Mhm.
white backgrounds, and there's a little bit of Photoshop just to remove the background, but that's about it. Like
Okay.
it's very straightforward what it is.
Okay. Well,
Um,
that's neat to know, though.
yeah, yeah, no. So I'm not the person that can make any kind of educated guess as to what those reasons are, but I can tell you why we do volume fills and voids and all the other
Yeah.
things that the complex mechanical things that go into designing packaging.
But it's interesting because, like, there's so many, and that's the best part about like, just products in general, is you don't realize how many layers there are to
Hmm.
everything. And so, like, end user just sees a box filled with bags, filled with Lego, and an instruction. That's it.
Yep.
But how many steps behind that that's the incredible part. So that's
Yeah,
my
like the
fault.
amount of
I
time and
should have
effort
asked
that it
that first.
takes. Yeah, no, no, no. It's all good. It's all good. Like the amount of time and effort it takes just to figure out what parts go in which bags and how to arrange the build flow just so that it's efficiently done. Like, you go from one walk of life designing mock instructions, and you're like, oh, this is hard. Doing instructions hard, and then you got to add in the whole different side of, well, you also have to be able to manufacture it and do it efficiently. So it's like this is a whole different ball
That's
game.
true.
So
Yeah.
fortunately, there's a lot of very talented individuals at the Lego group that are able to coach us along the process and help us out with that.
Sure.
So yeah.
And Alex, you said you had two kids.
Yes.
Are they planning, or are they already into Lego or Duplo, or is that a thing
Oh
that
yeah. Oh, absolutely. They are. So my oldest is in Square and Duplo age. He's 2.5,
yes.
but
Okay.
also loves. He's starting to get to the point where he wants to build the larger Lego bricks with dad. So the younger one, it's like, all right, there's still the putting things in their mouth age. So
Well, that
that's where
hasn't
it's like,
left
okay,
Keith.
he's coming in. We gotta be careful with this one. But the Duplo,
Uh,
obviously we don't have to worry about that too much. He's pretty happy with that. But yeah, I know I'm my older son we're squarely in the age of um cars. So I'm going through
mm,
like piecing together, trying to find the old sets that I had, or old bulk that I purchased locally. It's like, oh yeah, I remember seeing some cars elements, the windscreens or something like that
yep.
in there, and I'm like, okay, let's see if I can piece some of these together for him because he's obsessed with the movie. So let's see,
Okay.
that's where it goes.
Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, yeah, as Mav said, I'm still in the testing phase.
Yeah.
You got it's quality, right? You got to
Oh
make sure the
yeah.
bricks don't crack when you're putting them in your mouth.
We don't recommend that, just
No,
Yeah,
FYI.
no,
we
yeah,
don't recommend it. No,
no, no.
mostly for your teeth, not for the Lego
Yeah,
bricks.
that's fair. So speaking along, because I know I touched on this a little bit, but um, as far as growing up, do you remember, like, did you build specific sets like when you were younger, or did you have bulk that you like to build your own creations, or what did you enjoy doing the most?
In cycles, in the sense that I would, like any individual, we had a limited amount of elements to play with,
Mhm.
right? So, um, sets just had less parts too, in a
Yeah.
sense, and they
Yep.
were, the only type of snot bricks per se that you had were, kind of like headlight bricks and what's the like the 2x4 bracket, and there were maybe some other random things. I feel like I remember like a 2x4x2 snot brick that came in like Aquazone or something like that.
Mm,
Like I
okay.
remember those where I was like, okay, this allows you to do some other really but you only had like 3 or 4 of them. So you'd always have to disassemble things to get those parts again, to
Yep.
build something else with it. But yeah, I had a lot of classic space in a sense. I think that's just what when I had those, it was mostly, I think, because that's what my parents just assumed that I would like. But I don't know that I'm like, I love classic space. I mean, ironic having
Yes.
this on,
Classic space.
but it's more for the X-Wing than it's for
Yep.
anything else.
Yeah, that's fair.
Uh, yeah, so I would, like I remember Forbidden Island is like probably the first set I remember getting
Okay.
as a kid. I remember because it was, I mean, it was a pretty big set for what it was, and it had the flap that lifted up, and you could
Oh
see
yeah.
like back when you had the clear film, and you could see all the parts in there. And I remember my parents got it for me as like a just because. Like I remember getting picked up from school and it being in the back of the car and being like, What is this? Why it's here?" It wasn't hidden or anything. And they're like, "Oh, saw it at store, thought you would like it." It was like, "Oh, so
Man,
cool."
that's
So
the
it's,
best kind of gift.
that random one-off thing, it just like sticks in my head as like, that never happens. Why did that happen?
Yep.
Parents just had a good day or something,
Yeah.
right place,
Don't-
right time. And
Don't question it.
yeah. I remember the other one I really remember was my grandparents got me I can't remember which train it was, but it was, I don't know, it had a red locomotive, a red locomotive, red box car, blue flat car, and something else with it. And then I had like the club car, the double decker club car with the glass panels on the top.
Okay.
That was a fan favorite. Loved playing it with my children and my niece and nephew and all the kids still play with that set at my
Oh
parents'
wow.
house.
Okay.
So it's like I leave my 9-volt track there. I haven't
Oh
cannibalized the
wow.
9-volt track
9-volt.
to take to conventions because we always do. We always try to participate with displays and whatnot. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I really don't want to go buy more 9-volt. I have a whole bunch in Michigan, but I'm like, nah, the kids are playing with it.
Yeah,
I can't. I
Yep.
can't do that. I can't
Yep.
do that. So. But yeah, that was a lot of those type of things. I had a lot of the old Wild West sets.
Ooh.
Those were always a lot of fun because they had great play features. Like the sheriff safe would, or like the bank wall would explode, and
Yeah.
just so many fun little features that they had. But yeah, and then obviously Star Wars came around, and it was like, okay, nope, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually start building Star Wars stuff.
So you still have to go to, so you said your parents still have the bulk of your
My childhood.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
my childhood Lego is almost entirely there, and it is well loved. I mean,
Yeah.
the white it might be gray at this point.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
the
Well,
white brick is just like, oh, that is dirty. Like it's gross. But it was well loved, and it stood the test of time.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's it's other than brown. Other than brown, I feel like I
Yeah.
feel
Little
like
brown.
everything
I don't know,
else seems.
at that time, their brown wasn't really that big of a color,
That's
though. I
true.
mean, outside
Yeah.
of the Wild West sets, there wasn't that much brown. Some of the pirates, like the barrels, it was like specialty parts. It
That's
wasn't
true. Yeah.
in. It was always specialty parts. It wasn't. At least from what I remember, and now I'm thinking back, I don't remember that many brown bricks outside of like Palisade bricks and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But
I had a
yeah,
Viking boat that was just like the large ship.
yeah,
And I
like
mean
chip pull
that
pieces.
yeah, and that just like I mean you could toss that thing around and nothing really happened with it. So I guess maybe brown wasn't an issue back then. So
No, I was always jealous of the friends that had the monorail.
oh, I don't want to talk about that. Well, if you know
Keith's
anybody
is the monorail.
I do. Yeah. I don't know why I didn't grow up with it. I just like it. I guess Disney World, going on
Yeah.
the monorail,
Yep.
just kind of
You like it and you want it, and that's all that you need.
Gotta be like
something
this. It's something with our generation where it's like
Yes.
it just screams the future, and we're like, no, we gotta have the
Yeah.
monorail. It's so cool. It's like this is such a terribly inefficient mode of transportation.
Well,
But
it's
it's
just something
so
neat.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something like you actually get to experience in real life, and then it's represented in Lego. So
Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know.
those corner turns on the monorail. Yep.
Oh, good stuff. Do you guys is there a monorail out in Disneyland?
Yes.
Oh, there
There's
is.
one.
Okay.
I think it goes from the parking garage to like where I don't know, Space Mountain area is.
Does it go to the hotel? Is
I don't
it?
know if it goes. I can't remember if it goes because I didn't ride it. I just know I seen it right
Yeah. Oh, it's up top. I don't know
where
where it goes.
Tomorrowland is. So
Yeah, yeah. You
and
see it up
and you
back by Tomorrowland.
and you come down. I think it comes down right where the cars are, where the motor
Does it
car.
hurt where the oh yeah, yeah, where Utopia is?
Yeah, yeah, where they have the like where you meet like the Star Wars characters are used to, the launch bay, Star Wars launch bay. It's right over there. Only
Yeah, I
reason
don't
why I
know
know
because
is
I
because
feel
I
like
was I was
anytime
there recently.
yeah, I've only been twice to Disneyland. It's like I'm talking like I'm an expert of it, but the both times I went there, I feel like it was you when you come from the parking garages, it's the
No, you take
like the
the
boat train
tram.
or the tram, yeah, the tram train
Yeah,
things.
it is a tram, but there I did see a monorail because I think I met up with Christopher from Click Brickworks.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and he's still coming in on the monorail, and I'm like, "You have a monorail here?" He's like, "Yeah,
yeah.
it's in Tomorrowland." It's like,
It's
"Okay."
not like Disney
Right.
World though.
Well, no, it's not like Disney World.
Way different,
You don't
yeah.
yeah, you don't go to the parking lot to Epcot, back to the
Yeah.
Magic Kingdom
Yeah.
to another hotel.
Yeah.
So,
Through a hotel.
oh yeah, through the Contemporary.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
so Alex, you said you were a mock builder, and I heard Rebrickable. So can you explain a
Mhm.
little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I that was kind of my foray into kind of mock building was um I built a couple other things on Rebrickable first. I thought that was it's still to this day my best advice for someone that wants to start building mocks is one, build speed champion sets because they're lower price points, so they're easy to get, and they have a lot of really good part usage and ways of building, sideways, up, down, all kinds of just different build styles there that you hardly ever see in other sets in a sense, just because of the nature of the size and what you have to accomplish. And then two is build other people's mocks because one of the things, and this is what I love about BDP is that fan designers are not limited to the constraints that the Lego group is limited to, from a repeatability and stability standpoint. And so there's just all this really cool part usages and techniques and ways of doing things that the fan community can come up with, that just kind of start making you think in a different way because you always think like this element is always used this way, and it's like no, that element can actually be used in 20 different ways, and they may not all have a specific application for what you're trying to do, but it's good to kind of archive and start knowing that like hey, all these parts I need to start thinking differently about how you use them, and that kind of retrains your brain a little bit. So, like I said, I jumped straight into the deep end building. I don't know how big that model is. It's like 5 or 6 thousand parts. It's crazy complicated and
I'm gonna do
super
one.
big.
I'm
But
gonna bring up your rebrickable fair for
all
everybody.
right, yeah, yeah. So this is my these are the three models that I had released. I mean, I've done other things, but this is the A tier stuff, I should say. But yeah, I started off with the Hammerhead Corvette. That was kind of my first. I love Rogue One. I love all of the original trilogy and the Hammerhead Corvette. I was looking at models that hadn't been done before, been done in a. At that one, I was looking at like, oh, has anyone done a UCS scale Hammerhead Corvette? And I didn't really see anything that kind of fit what I wanted to do. So that was where I came up with, okay, let's just try this. And so, I started with the backbone or the spine of the model and just slowly started um, piecing parts on. And that's when I got into Studio when I realized, hey, wait a minute, I don't have all the elements here. And even if I, give it the funfetti cake of multicolor madness, but it's I was like, oh, okay, this allows me to kind of copy and paste and see how does this work from a scale. Is this motor, is this engine too big compared to, or if I put one on both sides, then how does that look from a scaling perspective? So really just over 3 or 4 months, really kind of dove headfirst into it, and that was the first mock that I had made coming out of my dark ages. So had a lot of I'm trained in 3 dimensional design and things like SolidWorks, so it was moving to Studio was quite easy for me in a sense. It was learning just a lot more like the tips and tricks and hotkeys and that kind of thing. But the kind of like the user interface and that stuff worked was it kind of it fit real well with me, and so that's where I started doing a lot of that. And then it was like, okay, now I got to figure out, I put things up on Instagram and Reddit, and there was a really good reception to it, and people were like, well, can you make instructions? And I would buy them, and I was like, wait, that I didn't even think about that I buy other people's instructions, but I never thought people would buy my instructions. So went through, and then for a 4,000 part model, quickly learned making instructions is a lot of work and a lot of time. And I got to rebuild this and convert all of it digitally, because I didn't have everything done digitally in Studio. And then making sure that it's repeatable, because that's the other thing, is that, like, it's, you can do it once, but making sure that everyone else can do it the same way the first time is also a big challenge.
Sure.
So a lot of trial and error, and didn't realize how much that would pay dividends to where I'm at in my career now, in the sense is that that's what we're helping fan designers do now with BDP. But yeah, so I started off with the Hammerhead Corvette. That went really well, and it was more of just a um, this is something I was doing for fun. I wasn't ever like, oh, I need to do this to make money or anything like that. It was just, oh, look, it's my hobby's self-funding. Oh no, then my wife was kind of like, wait a minute, you're starting to make money here. What's going like what is
Yeah.
this? And then the second model I did was the N1 Starfighter from it was technically Book of Boba Fett, wasn't it? It wasn't. Didn't it appeared first in Book of Boba Fett, I want to say. It was one of those like Mando 2.5
Oh,
episodes where it was like, it's not that you would think it's Mandalorian season 3, and it's not. It's actually, I think it's Boba Fett. And I remember like the day that episode came out, and I saw it, and I was like, I got to make a model of this. I got to do this. And I stayed up till the episode. I'm in California, so the episode came out at like 9 o'clock at night, or whatever it releases at. Watched it and immediately started, with had already had an idea of the N1 kind of frame, and then took that and just started ripping parts off and replacing them, and went to bed at 8 a.m. and had the model already designed and done in one whole night, and threw it up on Reddit, and people were like, "Wait, what? How do you have this?" Like, wait, this literally just came out last night. I was like, I stayed up too long.
that's
That was not a good work day for me. But that was fun, and then just a lot of iterations on that of finding new parts and tweaking it and trying to figure out, is it fun to do it, or is it more to get it all in chrome or silver ink? And all right, I shouldn't say it's metallic silver or silver ink. They're not actually chrome. Chrome's
yeah.
the original parts, but and then trying to find, okay, well, which parts have come in that, and oh, there's only 2 of these parts in Australia, so they're $8 a piece, and it's like,
Yes.
I guess I have to purchase them, but that's not enough for everyone else to do this. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I guess I'll do a light bluish gray version, so this thing isn't $500 to make. And for those that want to do that route, they can. Or if you wanna go rogue and do something even more, you could do that too. But yeah, so that was kind of, that kind of had cemented it for me, because all of a sudden I had sold, like, the Hammerhead Corvette had done pretty well, and it kind of was always on the top page and doing well. But then as soon as that N1 came out, it was like sales were
Yeah.
so high for what it was. But that was my first learning of, like, this is how to design for stability versus like design, and just having it be more accurate in a sense. And because that model, I mean, it had very finicky techniques all the way through it. So it was a good learning of finding out how much of the fan base is accepts mocks for the very fragile, don't even look at me type of builds, but they love like the great techniques used and interesting ways of doing things. And the other side that's like, I expect this to be a Lego model and it needs to be swooshable and my 4-year-old can play with it and it's not going to shatter. Right. So it's always fun trying to figure out like, okay, now thinking about like, how do I design something that's a little bit sturdier? Because the next challenge, right? It's not just high fidelity, it's also stable. And then that's where the U-wing came in, and I was building a lot of the other minifigure blocks within um, that, Rebrickable or Brick Vault or any of the other websites from a lot of the really really talented designers out there like Jarek, and kind of sending here's some of my ideas and kind of chatting back and forth with them on various forums. And I said, all right, well, I need there's not a U-wing that I love out there, and that's my favorite ship in the Star Wars universe. So that's where I went with. That was my last model that I worked on.
Okay.
And I really, really want to revisit it because there's so many new elements that have come out in the last 2.5 years that would just make it so much more stable.
Oh, sure.
Um, and like especially the wings, like it's like a 3x8 wedge plate. Is it 3x8 or 4x8 wedge plate?
Okay.
It came out in the UCS X-wing in the wing
Mm.
panels, but I'm like, that would add so much more stability to the wings. They're pretty stable as they are, but the longer plates they have in there, long plates, when you stack long plates, they actually tend to banana and they will start to
Okay.
rise. That's why we try not to stack a lot of long plates, because you actually are
Interesting.
losing all the little individual gaps that are technically built into each brick. Because
Huh.
if you do 16 1x1 plates in a row, that has to work the same as a 1x16. All right, there is no, it has to work the same as a 1x12.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like that over time, if you stack a lot of long plates together, those gaps that are kind of engineered in will over time start to banana things. So that's why you'll see some models will
Interesting.
banana a little bit. So sometimes that works in your favor, like a
Yeah.
really long cantilevered surface like those wings. Really hard to do because they have so much length and it's all hinging on one point. So it'd be really fun to go back and do some things there. But
Sure.
naturally, when I joined the Lego group, it was it's like, okay, it's the IP stuff I have to hands off now. There's a team for that.
Yeah, because I think you have a note on that because I was going to ask you about that. So on your
Yep.
page, you have noted that you can't work with anything with IPs then, correct?
I don't know that there that says that. It was just
Okay.
I don't want to get in an uncomfortable situation. If
Yeah.
someone's like, "Hey, what are you doing over here?" It's like
Yep.
I turned everything from paid to free and said, here's 90 days. I'm going to remove them for 90 days. That way, if anyone purchased them, that they didn't feel slighted in the sense that you paid yesterday and now it's free or
Yeah.
anything like
Okay.
that. And did that in advance, and then said, "All right, here, they're free. Everyone have at it." And unfortunately, they're kind of just in the state that they they were last in. So
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. So moving. So from your Rebrickable. So let's talk a little bit about Bricklink. So the whole designer program. So the first year for that, if I'm not mistaken, crowdfunding was February 24 for Series One. Now, I
yes,
guess now that doesn't Series One. Refresh my memory here. Is
it
that
kicked
because
off December of 22 is
that's
when
it?
we
Okay.
announced it. We announced it with the palette because that's when I started. The week
Yeah.
I
Okay.
started at Bricklink was I started on Monday, and on Friday we released the palette and announced
Okay.
the relaunch per se of BDP, because
Yeah.
what had existed before was the round 1 through 3 from the 2021 Invitational, and those were all Lego Ideas 10K Club submissions that were
Okay.
then filtered in, and then fans voted on them. So it
Yeah.
was like, okay, this is the pilot program for BDP being internal to the Lego group, because ADP was done when Bricklink was still independent.
Mhm.
And then how do you, those are all sets that were manufactured by Bricklink. And that was, okay, how do you adapt this process to the Lego Group process of manufacturing? And then it was, okay, now the series program is going to be what it is moving forward.
Okay.
And so that's kind of the delineation between the three.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, that was December of 22, and 23 we did crowdfunding early. It was February. Though at those times we did a month for submission intake, and then we did a month voting because it was, getting it out there so people were aware what was going on. And then I think series 2, we'd shorten that to 3 weeks and 3 weeks, and then from then on we did it 2 weeks and 2 weeks.
Okay.
So it's because now that it's a known quantity, people know when these things are coming, and so there's more than enough time to get through some of those periods. So
Sure. I'm just going to toss this out there. If you have, or if you know anybody that has an 8 studs set that they'd love to send my way, I'd be happy to get off their hands. So,
Yep,
just
I
tossing
know
that
where
out.
some are.
Oh, do you
We've
now?
got oh yeah, we've got well, we kept a handful of each of them, and so did the Lego Group, because
Okay.
they're actually every ADP, BDP, Invitational, and then also BDP sets now are all in the vault.
Okay.
So those are all saved. We also have some of them. As I meet fandoms too at each of the conventions, we're having them sign all the sets, and then we have them all on display
Oh, that's cool.
at the office with next to the physical builds.
Yeah.
So slowly trying to do that. There were so many sets though that were from our old office before we moved. There were so many 8 studs that were built, but they were sitting in a window, and so they
Oh.
were no longer the same colors.
Oh.
But
Oh,
that
my
was really
heart.
fun because we built them all up, because there were multiple different orientations that you could build it in, or
Yeah.
different variations of
Yep.
it. So yeah, there are a handful of those.
Well, just saying, if you need anybody to take one off your hands, let me know.
Keith will take the
What
one.
we do is we've been bringing a lot to conventions because they're great for the charity raffles.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, yeah.
something that,
Yep.
we want to help support as much as we can, and naturally some of those have become pretty pricey over time, so
Yeah.
even more beneficial for the charities. But yeah, so we've slowly been filtering some of those out through the various events we go to. So we hit about 6 conventions a year that we try to
Okay.
rotate through. So
Sure. Well, good. I mean, that's nice. I mean, obviously, we're doing the charity stuff now, so I mean,
Mhm.
I would give up an 8 studs if you could raise some money for charity. I'd give that up. So,
Yeah.
um, so interesting little piece of information. We were talking to you the other day, and we had mentioned to you about, or we were talking about how the sets that we saw um, at the Brick World convention,
Mhm.
um, like can designers can they change things like after like a set is seen? And you had mentioned that is something that has changed as of series 4. So can you just kind of go over like what can a designer do after a set has been picked?
Yeah, so yeah, as you mentioned, that's changed from series 4 onward. So initially, just a little bit of background context here. So initially, we didn't change anything with the models from an aesthetic standpoint. That wasn't we would fix anything that was stability related, or something that was a legal technique or stress the elements, etc. And in reality, what you got a model that was 99% what the original model was submitted, in a sense. And what we found for Series 1 crowdfunding was that a lot of fans were like, hey, well, we kind of expected you to do something with this model. Like Mountain Fortress, it has 9 minifigures and it's a $380 castle. Like, that doesn't compare well with uh Lion Knight's castle, and I think it had like 22 minifigures or something like that. And it was
Mhm.
like, well, our assumption was these are all standard off the shelf elements. There's nothing unique about these that people would just assume, well, we can go buy them off Bricklink or Rebrickable, or it's not Rebrickable, Pick a Brick.
Mhm.
And And then so I was like, okay, well, we hear the feedback loud and clear. Series 3 was already locked from a design standpoint, so the first one we could start to do some tests with was Series 4. Um, or sorry, we had a little bit of Series 3 that we were able to. We did some
Okay.
initial testing with Series 3. That's why Harbor Masters has a little bit more detail in the
That's
bottom.
right.
Because I think that was one of the first things that people noticed is like, wait, there's way more detail in the ocean in a sense, and like the coral reefs, and we added the shark and the turtle and some other things that that like assets weren't in studio for the turtle, so it was like no one could ever design with it, but it's like, oh, we can add that in. That's it's available. But you don't have the asset, the 3D part file for it. Um, and then the reception to that was like, oh, okay, yeah, no, this is the right decision. So then Series 4, we had the full design period because as it lined up, crowdfunding for Series 1 was happening at the same time as submission intake and the voting phase for Series 4 was happening. So we had the full time to work with fan designers.
Okay.
There were a couple fan designers in that series that had participated in Series 1. It was uh, a Lucky with the General Store and then the Wild West train.
Mm,
And then Sleepless Night had done Mountain Fortress, and then had did Siege Encampment in that series.
okay.
Um, and so due to that, there were, we had some fan designers. Actually, that series we had a hand, wasn't it Series 4? Because then Riverside Scott. So then yeah, so I think there were 4 models. Oh, and then Nicholas Carlier. So yeah, we had a handful of fan designers that had done the same thing from Series 1, but we're already kind of primed to hit the ground running for like, hey, we're going to do a little bit more work on these models. Let's see how this works out from a creative standpoint. And we gave them just kind of some ideas for, here's the things that it seems like based off the feedback, this is what the fans want. And that is play features and story and minifigures, right?
Mhm.
So, it's all the things that you always hear the judges on Lego Masters harp on. It's like, what's the
Yes.
story?
I was
What's
just
going
gonna
on
say
here?
that.
It's like, and then you get into the actual manufacturing side of things. And it's like, yeah, are they actually the important things? People want to see the models to be alive and have life in them. And then, we are adults, but we still love a really interesting play feature,
Mhm.
right? And just the idea of this work and that's really cool. I would never thought of doing it that way. And so we started trying to incorporate some of those things. We have some of the more major changes that we've done, which is like Wild West Train, where I think we went a little bit more overboard on that one because I think we added like 400 parts to the model, and that was
Mm.
that was
Oh wow.
because we had part availability in a sense that the average part count was lower in a sense for all the 5 finalists, so we had some room to play with. But
Okay.
the real inspiration with that was train track comes in packs of 4, and so as the model was designed, it was 7 tracks long.
Oh,
So
okay.
we're like, well, there's gonna be an extra track in here. So we had the same thing happen with Brick Cross, where it was 3 tracks long, but in the back, it didn't make sense to just add a whole nother portion of the building. Like
Sure.
that would
Yep.
have gone crazy. But for Wild West Train, it was like, well, we could. What would you do? We said to the fan designer, what would you do if you could add one more train car? And that's where El Lucky came back and said, or Wukash said, I want to, what if we did like a robbery, like a train robbery, like a train heist that
Okay.
kind of very typical Wild West
Sure.
style, this theme thing. So did that and came up with kind of the working safe and some other really cool little things that were in there. And I was like, yes, this makes total sense. Like,
Sure.
let's do that. That's awesome. And then, yeah, I think it's from since then, it's evolved, and now we're trying to find that middle ground where it is the fan designer leading the charge the whole way
Okay.
through. In a sense, we are there to be a helping hand. Some fan designers need more help than others. Some fan designers want more help than others. And so we're just there to provide that guidance if they would like it, and then obviously we are there to make sure that the model is going to meet the stability needs. It's going to, parts are going to be used properly, and that we are staying within the design boundaries that we need to. for our process. So
Okay.
because we are a little bit backwards in the sense of how we approach a model, whereas most of the Lego group designs a model to a price point, or to this is like, these are the specs of what this model needs to be. We don't do that at all. It is,
Okay.
here's the model and just put a price on it based
Sure.
off of what it's going to cost to manufacture. So um, that can cause some challenges in a sense too, just because it's so open ended, and then it's like, okay, well, we got to figure. And it is, since it's a fan mod, we will vet most of the design and make sure. We won't select a model that's like, oh, this thing's going to fall apart. It's going to be a nightmare to try to re-engineer. We'll let the fan designer know if that's ever an issue
Okay.
when we test build some of the models. But mostly we'll go through, and part of the reason why we require instructions is because when you build instruction, or when you make instructions, it makes you think about how that model is going to be built. So a
Okay.
lot of the major stuff gets caught there when fan
Okay.
designers are submitting it. But yeah, so we'll go through and work with fan designers and just say, okay, here's some ideas that we have. Also, new elements are unlocked because every month new elements are coming into the system, right, as they're launching. So those may become available. So that, in a sense, can unlock some other ideas. Or, a lot of time we run into as fan designers be like, yeah, I ran out of time and I really wanted to do this. It's like, well, let's do it. We got a couple weeks.
Yep.
We'll give you a couple weeks for creative freedom before we need to transition from studio into LDD. And we start working through, the Lego model design process in a sense, and getting it ready for manufacturing, because the amount of time that model designers have to actually work on the model is really low. It's a couple of weeks here and it's a couple of weeks there, but overall it's a 5-month process in a sense.
Okay.
And then the model's frozen, and then we go into manufacturing. And so, BDP is a year and 5 months from start to finish.
Yeah.
5 months of that is the model design. A year of that is manufacturing.
That's crazy.
And that is, a 7-ish months of that is just manufacturing the elements. And when those elements are manufactured, then they're, shipped all over the world, because there's 7 different manufacturing facilities for just molding elements.
Wow.
And then there's a handful of facilities that are actually assembling sets.
Okay.
And those may not be the same place. And just because you are molding elements in the same place that you are assembling sets doesn't mean that all the elements that are going into that set were manufactured there. So a lot of the time is just parts moving all over, and all the complexity that goes with that. So yeah, it's quite an interesting process.
Geez, who do you guys use for shipping? Because I'd love to know. Because we need those to the general public, if that's how much back and forth the parts take. So that's good.
Alex, I was going to ask you, what do you think besides IP, what do you think the main difference between Bricklink and Lego Ideas is?
I don't know that there's really not differences. I mean, because we're not really trying to. There's like no competition between the two.
No,
we
obviously
are
not.
partnerships in a sense, and we are partners in that program. In kind of the adult fan design space. The biggest thing is that what we were just talking about. These are models that are one-to-one replicated in a sense, and we're trying to do. I think what we like doing is what it's a fan community vote, right? So we're just going to go and do, here's exactly what the fan community wants, so that's what we're going to make. What ends up happening is you see things like Castle's extremely popular, so you see a lot more of kind of some of the same things in a sense. And we're going to go with whatever's kind of going to getting the most votes. And then we can do some things that are kind of really interesting in the sense of, I don't know how, how popular some models might be, but something that sells 10,000 units is a success, right? In a core portfolio that would most likely not be seen as a success. So we can try some kind of crazier things. But yeah, it's, we work pretty closely with them as well. So it's just they're different programs aimed at different parts of the market. So yeah.
So just out of curiosity, if and if you can't answer, that's fine. If there was similar designs that came up in both the BDP and Lego Ideas. So let's just I don't know, something I see a lot. Let's just say a Forrest Gump set. Okay. So you guys can you do IPs? Or that's
No, we
only
can't do
that's
any.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
we
So
don't do. Well, so the answer is no, we can't do IP, but there are some things that are IP that are like Lego Group IP that we are
yeah.
able to do in a sense.
Okay.
It's a very convoluted answer, but the answer is no,
No, okay.
right?
So let's
It's
just say
because most people think of IP as like Forrest Gump or things
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
We can't do
Okay.
that. Yep.
So let's just say there was like a generic mock that came up and there was two very similar ones. They both hit their thresholds. Um, is there something like in place where you guys and Lego would be like who takes charge on you get what I'm saying? Like if
Yep.
like who gets who gets the rights to it basically. And I know you guys are it's like the same, but who gets to produce it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if that were ever happen, I would assume we'd be yielding because it doesn't. I
Yeah,
mean, they would Lego ideas would, in my mind, would be probably more prestigious for the fan designer in a
sure.
sense.
Okay.
Not to again compare the two against each other, but no, I think what's actually interesting is that we see a lot of models, fan designers going from one program to the other and kind of jumping around and finding, hey, I want to do something IP, so this time I'm going to go do Lego ideas,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
And this time I'm going to do something different. Or what we do see a lot, what we did see a lot of early on was like, hey, this model made it to 10,000 votes in Lego ideas, it wasn't selected. They submitted to BDP and then selected as a finalist.
Okay.
So. Um, that's probably just I don't know if it's as much of an indication of being selected one place or the other is better. It's just
Yeah.
that's just the
Yep.
nature of how it's been done so far. But
Okay.
yeah, we review everything. So we review all the finalists with the Lego group just to make sure that everything is not only does it meet our brand standards, but that it also aligns with the portfolio as it's
Yeah.
coming out. So
Yep.
Okay. Just a couple quick questions here. If you can answer, if not, that's okay.
yep.
Accio Bricks, he asked, does Bricklink own manufacturing or is it third party?
Well, it's all Lego Group. So,
Okay. Oh, yeah, I guess.
so
Yeah.
yeah,
Or
Bricklink's owned by the
is
Lego
that what
Group.
PM
So
is? Third party? Yeah, 3 PM. Yeah, I'm guessing that's what
yeah, I
third
would
party
assume
manufacturing.
that's what
Okay.
it is. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Third party.
everything. I mean, it's the same manufacturing line, same molding equipment. It's the parts that you see in a Bricklink set came off the same, are all the exact same. Usually when they're molding 2x4 bricks, they're not going, oh, these are Bricklink ones.
Yeah.
Like it's all one big pile of them. So
Okay.
yeah, no, where it's all done exactly the same.
Okay. All right. And then Lego Team B. Does Bricklink report its financials separately from Lego Group or only as a part of the larger group entity?
I think we're only part of the larger of the Lego group. Yeah, I can't imagine we Bricklink does it
Yeah.
out because yeah, this was something interesting that I learned is that because this is a very American focused kind of mindset, but in the US, private companies don't have to report their earnings,
Mm,
but I
yep.
guess in Denmark, it's a requirement
Okay.
because the Lego group is privately held.
Yep.
But yeah, I was always wondered. I was like, why do they share that? Normally, or private companies don't share their
Sure.
financials.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I was like, oh, it's because that's our law. Okay,
Yeah.
didn't realize
Yes.
that.
Well, things you learn, right?
Yeah.
All right, Alex, really appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight. We did have one other favor that we wanted to ask you was, as I mentioned earlier, you inspired us to have our own little community build challenge. So we had a challenge to the community, basically having members build a little mock that represented either their journey with Lego or the community that we're trying to create here through our Hidden Bricks podcast. And
Mhm.
so we had that vote over the weekend. And we did say we were going to have two winners. So I'm going to pull up the pictures here. And if you don't mind letting everybody know, first of all, who came into first place, I'll bring that up here.
So this is Team Hummel Bricks.
All right. So Peter, he is the dad of Team Hummel. He came up with this creation. I don't know if he had any assistance from the kiddos or Alyssa or not, but he decided to make Mav and I in our podcast form. So that's the overall. And then there's the individuals here. There's what you see behind me on my screen. There's Mav and what he has behind him on his screen. So that was his little one. And second place, Alex, if you don't mind giving us second place here.
Yeah, second place was Akio Bricks.
All right. And Frank, there was your little Harry Potter recreation, except Mav and I are in charge this time.
Yep.
So overall, we loved. I mean, all of the builds were just incredible. The community is incredible. Alex, I'm sure you see this. You saw it at
Mhm.
Bricklink, at Brick World. All the communities coming together. Just great stuff. Definitely a community driven hobby for sure. So,
Nope. That's the
um,
best part, seeing all the builds.
Yes.
yeah,
it
for
was.
sure. But yeah, Alex, again, truly appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight. If you don't mind, we will put you backstage for a couple minutes here while we wrap up. And then we just
Cool.
have a couple things to chat with you real quick, and then we'll put you on your way.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the time.
For
Thank you
sure.
very much, Alex.
All right, we'll talk to you shortly. Hang tight. Okay, so that was Alex. Definitely appreciate him. Great time. Learned a lot of stuff tonight. Obviously, anybody who is rewatching or re-listening, if you have any questions for us or Alex, please don't hesitate to reach out. Mav, a couple things here, just real quick to wrap up here.
Yes.
Do you just want to give us our rundown again for the weekend?
Well, the weekend is a full 48-hour extravaganza, and it's to promote NACOA's #Stomp Out Addiction. So me and Keith will be live starting 7 p.m. Friday through the weekend to 7 p.m. Sunday Eastern time.
Yep.
So make sure you'll tune in. I'm sure we'll have a lot of members of the community popping in and out. We'll be playing some messages. We'll be showing our support. We will be tracking the donation
Yep.
as well in real time. So
Yep.
make sure you tune in, show your support.
Yeah, if anybody's out and about this week, if you're at any bricks and minifig stores, we just actually had one up in Michigan tonight posted their Lego walk, and they challenged another bricks and minifig store to go up next. So I'm actually putting out a challenge tomorrow to my local school district and the school district that is neighboring that I graduated from. We had a big rivalry growing up, so I'm going to see if I can light some fires between the two communities here to get friendly some friendly Lego walks going here. But yeah, if anybody, if you know anybody who's interested in helping out, even just helping us share the cause, we would greatly appreciate that. And we appreciate you guys more than you know. So again, no after hours Friday. That will be part of the charity stream. Again,
Yes.
thanks to Alex for joining us tonight. Again, if you want to check his Instagram out, it's California_design. That's ALIFORNIA_design, where you can find him on Instagram, or just pay attention to anything Bricklink related, and I am sure you will see him there. So with that, see you on Friday.
Oh boy, it's going to be a good one, right?
That
Get
it
your
is.
get your sleep now, Keith.
Sleep for us, please.
All right, everybody.
All right,
Thanks
guys.
for joining in, and
Have a
we'll
good
see you
night.
next time here on the Hidden Bricks.